everybody. This is Spread the Light. Welcome back. Took a bit of a hiatus there to recenter and reboot. And I'm back and planning to continue this series. And in the month of July, we're going to be looking at how to continue navigating this time that we're living through right now. Because the purpose of Spread the Light, the reason that I started it and the reason that I'm continuing it is that I think it's really important to propagate the consciousness of transformation now, because we are in a transformational time. And it's really helpful when we're going through times of change and transformation to learn how to really lean into and trust and rely on spiritual law. Because the truth is that spiritual law is the most reliable thing that we have in life. It's just that we never really learned what spiritual law was. And so when you start to learn about it and you start to see how it operates in your own life and how it operates universally, life gets really interesting. And so I want to share these principles of spiritual law with as many people as possible, particularly to help you as you're going through your own changes. And, you know, this is a time of transformation. Things are not going to ever go back to the way they were. And I think we need to prepare ourselves for more changes to come. We don't know what's coming next. And you know, rather than let that be something that terrifies us or that we dread, we can, when we understand spiritual law, understand that everything that happens to us is actually happening to us for our good. And there's a way to benefit from that. There's a way to harness that energy for your transformation, for your expansion, for your highest good, and to actually go through a process that will bring you more life, not less. So that's the first message I want to communicate, is that this period that we're going through and that we're going to continue to go through, and things are going to continue to evolve, continue to change, and there's a lot of unknown coming our way. All of this is for our good. It is for our good as a humanity. It is for our transformation. So we're going to talk about how to harness this energy and how to take what looks like and what can often feel like a dark night of the soul that we're all going through collectively, really just questioning everything and you know, because really what's happening here is the transformation of consciousness on a global scale. And nobody is exempt from this process. We all got to go through it. So we can either go willingly and go with the flow, or we can be dragged, kicking and screaming. But we're all going, because we're all on this planet together, and we can't get off unless we choose to get off. So this is, I want to start with a message of encouragement and an invitation to really embrace what's going on and to lean into it as a way of really calling in and activating your highest potential and greater and greater amounts of joy and happiness and satisfaction in your life. That is possible. It's actually probable the more you lean into this stuff. So we're going to talk about what is this, the possibilities and the potentials of this particular juncture that we're in right now. And some might call it a dark night. Now, it's beautiful out, it's summertime, you know, the restrictions are starting to relax and ease, at least where we are in the world here in Ontario, Canada. But there's lots of places in the world where that's not the case yet. There are places where things are getting worse. And talking about the pandemic, of course, but we could, you know, refer to many other conditions that we're all going through together at the same time. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of instability. And of course, it's we're out of our comfort zone. And I don't think we're going back in our comfort zone. This is going to be our new normal, is kind of surfing the waves as they come and learning how to really be more in the moment and embrace the now and embrace these things as they come up and trust that they are in some way for our highest good, and how we're going to come together as a humanity and trust one another and help one another to navigate this. And so it's important to understand some principles and some truths with a capital T that we can remember as we're going through things, so that if we start to lose our minds or go off the rails a bit, we can always come back to what is true. So we want to learn how to have our circumstances, whatever they are, and sometimes they can be quite challenging and difficult or frightening, but without those circumstances having us. And that requires us to be in touch with the fact that we are being breathed right now by a power that is infinite. Every single one of us. That is the same power that rotates our planet on its axis, that rotates all the planets in our solar system, that gives birth to the sun and the stars, and that creates galaxies and universes and causes flowers to grow and causes grass to push up between flagstone and cement seeking the light. That power that's doing all of that is the same power that's within you and me, and it's breathing us right now. So, this is the impulse of life itself. That is what is running us, and that is what is creating an impulse in us for expansion and for growth. It's for us. It's never against us. It could never be against us. It's not possible. It wants growth and expansion. It wants us to experience more life, always, all the time. So that is the power that is breathing us. And that power is greater than any circumstance or any condition or any situation that we may currently be facing, always. So that's it. We're required to remember that when situations feel like they're bigger than us. And actually, when we're in a dark night, or what can feel like a dark night, we're in an invitation to develop spiritual muscle. And we can't ever develop spiritual muscle without having something heavier to lift than we're accustomed to. It's nothing is coming to get us. Nothing is coming to, this is not, oh, finally the other shoe dropped and everything, is going to be terrible now. That's not our destiny. Our destiny is something wonderful. So it's important to remember that when the circumstances feel like they're closing in on you, that power that's breathing you is greater than that. And any limitations that you may be experiencing or afraid of are actually there to develop your spiritual muscle so that you can expand. So that's the first premise that we want to go from, is that everything is actually for us. It's never against us. Never against us. Always for us. We live in a benevolent universe. So this dark night experience has a role to play in our evolution, individually and as a humanity. We all go through in our individual lives a dark night or several dark nights, and those dark nights are there for a reason. And as a humanity, we also experience collective dark nights, and it feels like we're alone, or it feels like things are closing in, and they're never going to be the same again, and it's bad, and we can feel despair, we can feel cut off from the light, but that's not actually what's happening. It can seem that way, and it can be very, very convincing, but it's important to remember that a dark night experience is, first of all, inevitable. It's when it comes, but the reason that it comes is because it is there to birth the next larger version of us. That's why it comes. It is for our growth. So when something greater is seeking to emerge in us, that's when we know we're in a dark night experience, because of that something greater that is seeking to emerge in us. And it's actually a required moment in the evolution of our own soul. And this is a required moment in the evolution of the consciousness, the global consciousness of all humanity. Everything that we're going through, all of the questioning that's happening, all of the realizations and the waking up that's happening all over the place is a wonderful sign that there is change happening, that there is transformation happening, and that we are going through a global shift in consciousness, and that it's going to continue to go in that direction, because we cannot unknow what we are knowing now. So this is a required moment in the global evolution and in our personal evolution. So each of us individually are connected to the whole, and we can never be unconnected to it. We're all in this together. So earlier I said, there's nothing coming to get you, but But that's not exactly true. What's coming to get you is you. What's coming to get us all is a higher level of us. We all exist in multiple dimensions, and there are dimensions of us that are higher and more aware and more conscious than this dimension of us right here and now in the 3D. This is a very dense layer that we live in, and it's easy to fall asleep here and forget why we're here in the first place. But there are other layers of us, there are other dimensional aspects of us that are beyond the limitations of space-time, and that's what's coming to get us. It's our wisdom, our higher selves, our angelic natures, that's what's coming to get us. And we have all the support in the world. So instead of thinking that we're going to be abandoned or let go, let's think that we're coming to be not only rescued, but nourished and revivified and given more life by all of this support that is out there for us. So how we navigate this dark night is actually essential to receiving that higher energy. We're all receiving a lot more elevated, higher frequencies of energy right now, and it's happening. The planet is being saturated with this, higher frequencies, and so it's important to establish practices that are going to help you calm down and calm your nervous system down so that you can receive. You don't have to know anything about it. You don't have to know, how to do it. You just calm down, you breathe, you open yourself up to receive, and you trust that you live in a benevolent universe. It's really as simple as that. So how we navigate this dark night, or the turmoil, or the uncertainty that we're in the middle of now, is essential to our evolution. So, we can either let circumstances, when they seem challenging and difficult, we can either let that stuff drag us down, pull us down into a spiral where we get caught up or stuck in some kind of negativity or despair. We can let that happen, or we have a choice to let it shape us into the next greater version of ourselves. And the choice is absolutely 100% up to us. It's got to do with nobody else. So nobody can make you feel any certain way. We each have a responsibility to manage our own energy system and to generate our own energetic state consciously. That's the responsibility that each and every one of us have in the face of whatever's going on. So, these energies are evolutionary, and if we view them as such, our perception will become enlarged, and we'll be able to benefit from those energies. So, sometimes when you look back on some portion of your life that you went through that was really tough at the time, but you realize, in retrospect, that it really shaped you and made you into who you are today. When you look back on that, you say, that was the last thing I wanted, but it ended up being the best thing that ever happened to me. How many of you can say that about something in your life? I can, for sure. More than once. I didn't want it to happen. I hated it when I was going through it, but I'm so glad that it happened, because even if I didn't understand what was going on at the time, even if I didn't know how to get the gift from it at the time, now looking back, I realized that I did receive the gift, and it took me some time to process it. The more conscious you can be as you're going through a situation like that, the more you can derive the gift from it, extract the gifts from it in the moment, and you can really use that energy to galvanize you and help you leap forward. So this is a quantum experience that's possible. So each of us has our own dark night experience, whether it was a very long time ago in the past, or whether it's recent, or whether we're going through it now, or whether it is to come. One thing is for sure, none of us are exempt from that experience. We're going to have it. So, it doesn't have to be a big public thing. Don't diminish whatever is challenging to you, whatever you're going through. It doesn't matter how big or how small it might seem to somebody else. The same tools apply, always, always. So here are some tools for navigating the dark. The first thing is that we want to look at it in the face. We want to dare the dark and say, all right, I'm going to look at this. I'm not going to shy away from it. I'm not going to, you can't do a spiritual bypass on this stuff. You can't deny it, and the nature of dark night experience is that it shakes your foundations. It shakes your sense of security of what, the way things should be, or it certainly shakes our comfort. It puts us out of our comfort zone. So we can't do a spiritual bypass on it, and we can't deny it. It's happening, and so the first thing is to say, all right, I accept. I accept. Now, that doesn't mean that we roll over and we're passive. The first step is just acceptance. Once you accept something, then you can take action if necessary and appropriate, but the first step is to accept it, not to resist, right? Resistance just creates more buildup of energy that is going to boomerang back, and it makes things harder. So the second thing is to know that you are more than that. You are more than this experience, whatever it is. As we were saying at the beginning, there's a power that's breathing you. It brought you here. It is an infinite power, and you are an infinite being. You're a spiritual being, having a human experience right now in the land of time and space for the purpose of your growth, for the purpose of learning. And that's what we're all going through here. We're all here together going through this collective learning experience. And so the benevolent power that is breathing us and that brought us into this experience and that wants our growth and expansion is greater than anything outside of us. Anything outside of us. So you're more than anything that can come at you. And even though sometimes we may feel small when we're faced with something that seems really big, that's just our perception. That's our perception, viewing ourselves as small. So first thing is to dare the dark, to face it, to accept the situation, and just to claim it and say, all right, it's here. And then the second thing is to realize that you are more than that. However big it may seem, you are more than that. And you don't build this spiritual muscle without facing some things along the way that you might not have wanted to face, or that seem big and scary. The third thing is to get the gift. Get the gift. Because there is a gift. In any situation, there is a gift for you. So that's something that we can approach with a spirit of curiosity. What might be the gift in me for this, right? Life is such an exquisite, loving guide in this journey of becoming who we are capable of becoming. This loving energy wants us to become everything we can. So it's natural that there should be a gift in every challenge, that there should be a gift in anything that seems like a hardship, because that is right. And actually, the greater the challenge, the greater the seeming hardship, the greater the gift. So we can always take heart. We can always step forward with courage because we know that there is a gift in there for us. Each one of us is loved enough by the power that's breathing us to be given moments that we never would have wanted on the one hand, but there's absolutely a buried gift inside that experience that can open us up to possibilities and potentials of self and of soul that were always there, but that we might never have accessed were it not for the pressure, right? So life puts us through pressure as we're going through life. We get pressurized, right? And I remember something that Wayne Dyer used to say, which just always stayed with me. He'd say, what happens when you squeeze an orange? What comes out? And the answer is, well, orange juice. And then he asked, why? Why? Because that's what's in it. There's orange juice inside an orange. So when you squeeze an orange, you get orange juice. And it's the same thing with us. When we get squeezed by life, when we get squeezed by our circumstances and by what's going on, whatever is in us comes out. In other words, the energy that we hold, everything that we are, emerges in that moment. So it's a great opportunity for us to see what happens to us when we're under pressure. What are the patterns of limitation, self-imposed limitation, self-imposed limitation? What are we living with right now that is causing us to see life in a way that is skewed by our own perception? And these are the things that are really hard to see until we get into a dark night situation that squeezes us. So there is always a gift inside that experience. Decision to live for the full empowerment of ourselves. We can make a decision always to get the gift. In fact, we can refuse to go through an experience without getting the gift. So, if you were to take a deep breath and look over your whole life, the ups, the downs, the light, the dark, the easy, the hard, all of the polarities of life, everything that was difficult or deeply scary or frustrating or that just made you feel so tired, like you just feel like you can't go on. Know that you are on a journey. You're on a hero's journey. And every single one of us are. We're the hero of our own journey. And that when these moments come, they're not to test us or to punish us. Nothing could be further from the truth. They are to help develop our spiritual muscle and to give us more space inside and more life, to awaken our hearts, the evolution in our hearts, to awaken more love in our hearts, so that we can embody the light that we are and to help each other embody the light that we are, all together as brothers and sisters, because we're all on the same journey. Different people are on different places on their own evolutionary arcs. There's lots of different levels of awareness. Yes, that's true, but it's also true that we all come from one source. We all are illuminated beings of that source. We all come from the light, and we're all going back there. So here's an affirmation that you can use that can remind you that you're more than what you think. It goes like this, and you can create your own affirmation. I'm just going to give you an example of one that is really nice and that you might want to use, or create your own. You're just going to remind yourself that that which is inside you is greater than anything that is outside you. You can say, I, Claire, I, say your name, am so much more than my circumstances. I, Claire, am so much more than my experiences. That which is within me is greater than this experience, whatever it is that's going on for you. And I will have this experience, but I refuse to let it have me. And I will get the gift from this experience, which will allow me to grow. That's an example of an affirmation that you could use, or you could create something like that for yourself that feels good for you. To remind yourself when the going gets tough, this thing does not have you unless you let it. It's not bigger than you unless you believe it, right? So you may not know what the gift is right now, but you can decide right now to get the gift. And you will get the gift. That's all I have for today. I'm going to be back next week with more on this topic. We're going to go through sort of hero's journey together over the next month in July. And I look forward to sharing the technology of spiritual law with you and how to navigate uncertainty and challenging terrain, and to actually see it as an opportunity and to see it as a blessing, no matter what's going on. I send you lots of love, many blessings, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye.